You pull your card out at the counter. The transaction goes through. It's a familiar wait, that small moment of financial subtraction you've performed 1,000 times. You pay for the course, the premium software, the legal consultation, the medical referral. You assume this is the price of entry. You assume that if you want the best version of the tool, you pay the premium price. You assume everyone else is doing the same. You assume this is simply what it costs to be an adult in a functioning society. You are wrong, because while you were busy calculating whether you could afford the entry fee, the person behind you was walking through a side door that doesn't even have a handle on your side. You think wealth is about having more money to buy more things. You think the person who is better off than you simply bought a more expensive version of the exact same path you are walking on. You believe they pay the retail price for their success. They don't. In fact, in the circles that actually move the needle, the most valuable assets, the connections, the legal protections, the market intelligence, and the infrastructure are not sold. They are distributed, often for free, to those who understand that the price tag is only for the people who don't know how to ask. You are playing a game with a set of rules that were written for people who aren't you. And as long as you keep paying the retail price for your life, you will never see the board the way the people at the top see it. It starts in the most mundane places. Think about your last medical crisis, or that legal headache you paid a consultant to fix, or even the professional development course you bought to sharpen your skills. You saw a problem, you looked for a solution, and you exchanged your hard-earned capital for the expert help that promised to resolve it. That is the middle-class reflex. It is honest, it is hardworking, and it is entirely predictable. It's the consumer mindset. But watch what happens when you climb higher. When the stakes move from fixing a problem to building an empire, the mechanism shifts. The wealthy don't pay for a consultation, they leverage a network, they don't buy a course. They sit in a room where the information is traded as a currency of influence. They don't hire a tool. They utilize institutional access that is baked into the cost of their social infrastructure. Let's look at the actual numbers, because the math is the only thing that exposes the gap. First, financial advice. The middle class pays $300 an hour for an advisor whose primary goal is to sell them a high-fee insurance product or an active fund with a 1% management fee. You aren't paying for wealth creation, you are paying for the privilege of being a client in a sales funnel. The rich don't use the commission-based guy. They use fee-only fiduciaries via the NAPFA Directory. These advisors are legally obligated to act in your best interest. They don't take commissions, they don't sell products, they sell strategy. And because they view finance as a high-stakes chess match rather than a sales pitch, they often provide free initial consultations or have pro bono arms to vet future high-net-worth clients. The difference isn't the quality of the financial physics, it's the structure of the relationship. Second, tax preparation. You've been trained to believe that tax software is a commodity that costs money, but the IRS offers Free File. If you earn under $79,000, you are eligible for professional-grade, full-version tax software at zero cost, not the light version, the industrial-grade version. 70% of people who qualify never use it. Why? Because the tax prep industry spends millions on lobbyists and marketing to make sure you think free means unreliable. Meanwhile, the wealthy have CPAs who specialize in tax strategy, and those CPAs' first piece of advice is always to use every government-provided tool available before spending a single dollar on anything else. The wealthy use the free tools to keep their margin wide. You pay the tax industry to keep their margin wide. Third, medical debt. The healthcare system is an efficiency nightmare, but it is bound by federal law. Every hospital receiving federal funding, which is almost all of them, is legally required to have a financial assistance program. It isn't advertised, it isn't on the front page of their website. You have to ask for it. The wealthy don't pay sticker price because they have an assistant or a family member who knows how to trigger the financial adjustment. They treat the bill as a negotiation, not a tax. When you pay the full amount, you are subsidizing the people who know how to ask for the discount. Fourth, legal advice. The wealthy don't Google legal questions, they use law school clinics. Every accredited law school in the United States operates a legal clinic where supervised law students, often top of their class, provide free legal services to the public. Estate planning, small business formation, immigration, consumer protection. It's not charity. It's high-level research. The wealthy pay $500 an hour for the same advice from the partners at those firms. You can get it for free, provided by the future of the legal profession. It's the ultimate arbitrage of legal talent. Fifth, investment research. You think the market is close to you? You think you need a Bloomberg terminal to see the truth? The wealthy pay thousands per year for research reports, but everything those reports are built from is publicly available on the SEC's EDGAR database. Every public company's financials, every quarterly report, every insider transaction, every risk disclosure, it's free, it's searchable, it's updated in real time. The wealthy pay analysts to read EDGAR for them. You can read it yourself. The information is identical. The only difference is the effort. Sixth, university aid. Most middle-class families assume financial aid is for low-income students. They are wrong. Every major university has institutional aid, money that doesn't come from the government and doesn't require financial need. It is available to anyone who understands the art of the appeal. Wealthy families negotiate every offer. They appeal, they compare, they counter, they treat the tuition as a price to be negotiated. If you accept the first number, you've already lost. Seventh, banking. Stop paying fees to big banks. Credit unions are member-owned cooperatives. They offer lower interest rates on loans, higher yields on savings, and zero fees. They aren't exclusive. Most Americans qualify through their employer, their community, or their professional association. The big banks charge the middle class billions in fees and interest spreads that credit unions eliminate. The wealthy moved their money years ago. You're still paying for the privilege of being in a big bank. 8. Business credit. The wealthy never use personal credit for business. They build business credit profiles, separate from their personal credit, through LLCs and EINs that they establish for free through the IRS. A properly structured business entity can access credit lines, vendor terms, and financing that never touches your personal credit score. The structure costs nothing to create. The knowledge of how to use it is what the wealthy have that the middle class doesn't. None of these require more money. They require information. The gap between the wealthy and the middle class is not purely a gap in income or assets. It is a gap in access to knowledge that compounds over time exactly the same way money does. Every year you pay full price for something that was free. That isn't just money spent. That's the return that money would have generated if it had stayed in your pocket and gone to work for you instead. The system doesn't hide these resources with locks. It hides them with complexity, with jargon, with assumptions, with the quiet understanding that the people who need these resources most are the least likely to know they exist. And the people who already have resources will continue to access the free versions of everything while charging the middle class for the privilege of staying in the dark. You don't have to stay in the dark. NAPFA, IRS Free File, hospital assistants, law clinics, EDGAR, negotiated aid, credit unions, business credit, 8 resources, all free, all used by the 1% right now. None of them require more cash. They just require the decision to stop paying for things that were never supposed to cost you anything. You have been paying for the tools your entire life. You have paid for the privilege of being managed, the privilege of being advised, and the privilege of being sold to. The moment you decide that you are done with the retail price is the moment you stop working for the system and start working for yourself. The most expensive thing you own is not the house or the car. It is the belief that you have to pay full price for the life you want to build. The gap is there, the side doors are there, the institutional paths are there. They have always been there. They are just guarded by your own assumption that the rules are the same for everyone. They aren't. They never were. You are standing in a village square, buying what the chief is selling, while the people who built the square are walking through the back exit, carrying the keys to the entire village in their pockets. You don't need a higher salary. You don't need more hours in the day. You need to stop paying for the right to be poor. Change your posture. Stop acting like a customer and start acting like a participant. The game was rigged. We drew the map. You just have to decide when to stop paying the toll. If this video made you feel like you've been playing a rigged game, that's not an accident. Discomfort is usually just a truth you haven't budgeted for yet. Off licit, the game was rigged. We drew the map.